banking law, alhamdulillah, and thank you. I hope this Islamic banking law will come forward and will become an actually law that everybody has to follow. We have the National Sharia Boards, Central Bank Departments is filling up. The CSBIB, I think we can strengthen them, giving them more support. We have the recognized standards, AUFI and IFSB, and I know your new department was supposed to follow AUFI laws and IFSB. Excellent. We have the recommended codes, we have the OIC declaration, OIC Fiqh Academy, and Mufti Mizanur Said is here, is a member of International Fiqh Academy. We have the public opinion. These media, not Euro journalism, they should tell exactly what it is. And they will form this public opinion, let the public know what it is, and for them, we also have an advocacy or literacy program for consumers, for the media, even for the judges, because the judges, many of them don't have an understanding what an Islamic finance is, and that delays the process. If you want to stop some sort of deal, you go to the judge, doesn't understand. So we really have to do these things. And one model I would request this, which is a dual banking model, Malaysia can follow. They have really improved in all of these areas in many ways. We have competitive forces, of course, in the dual banking system. We have to compete with the conventional banks, and that will give us, and not only that, with the Shumilito Islamic Bank, Islamic banks will be competing with each other too. That competition is very much needed, because many times Islamic Bank, Bangladesh Limited was the leader, it was really driving the industry and so on. We have to have the supporting institutions, okay, Islamic Stock Index, I know Islamic Mutual Fund, Islamic Rating Agency. I do not know whether we have any Islamic Rating Agency, because you will need this anyway when you bring these capital market instruments, because it should be rated in order to have an international, in order to attract the international capital flow. Now, we have to have developed this corporate culture. You know, that was the saying, Dr. Mansour, Islamic Bangladesh Limited, this employee, he did not think that this is a job. This is something ibadah they were doing. And I wondered what happened this 15 years, this regime had changed the internal DNA of Islamic Bank as well. They have changed the morale of this Islamic Bank employees. So this culture has to be there. Of course, you have to be a Sharia board. There have to be responsible. It's not good enough. Oh, I didn't know. It's not good enough at all. I think there should be come forward, and there should be some sort of. I would go to this level, bring some of this on the court, and judge them. Hey, look what we have done. And another thing also, I would say that when I go to an Islamic bank, I do not know Islamic financial product. Many of us you don't, even the Islamic bank employees. But as a consumer, as a depositor, I look at the Sharia board, and I believe in them, that they are certifying that the product or the banking is done according to Sharia principle. So they have a dual responsibility. First responsibility is that they are supporting an industry, and they will be responsible and accountable to God. And if I know that I'm not good for the job, I should not take this one. There is, when I talk about fiqh, there are different fiqh, but the fiqh of Muamalat, many of the scholars, including Mufti Mizanur Said, would say the fiqh of Muamalat understanding is very much limited. We really need to also increase that knowledge. And if someone becomes a Sharia board member, he or she must have this responsibility. By the way, I didn't see any single female Sharia board member. There are a lot of female Sharia board. There are. I think I would request you that you should discuss the law. There has to be 1 or 2 persons, out of many, so that you have the gender equity. And I know many Sharia female scholars in this country. They are very, very good, and they are part of the society. We should not really forget that. Now, staff qualification, continuous training. Even if you're a doctor in the United States, you have to always go to continuing education. That thing will always be continuing. It's not like having a one-day seminar, something like this. sort of structured program so that you develop the skill set of the people accordingly. With this brief introductory remark, let me move and start with, I have sent some questions to honorable, panel members. So I do not see Muhammad still is here.
Now, recent guidelines introduce more detailed expectation for Sharia governance, independence, qualification, accountability for Sharia supervisory committee, with implementation from 1st January 2026. Bangladesh Bank is transitioned all scheduled bank to risk-based supervision from 1st January 2026, raising expectation around risk governance, internal control, and reporting discipline. Market dynamics are shifting. Product innovation, fintech collaboration, and rapidly expanding digital delivery channel increase operation, cyber conduct, and Sharia non-compliance risks. So, focus area I would like to highlight first is leadership capacity keeping pace. So, capability gap is even a leadership and governance issue. Policies exist, but ownership drawn from the top and follow through are uneven. Islamic banks must manage dual compliance, Sharia compliance plus prudential and conduct compliance, risk governance, consumption protection, CFT, cyber resilience. Future option, competency expectation for key roles, board, Sharia super committee oversight, heads of risk, compliance, internal audit, supported by the standardized training and assessment. So, main three area, priority, skill gaps, and what to do. Skill area, Sharia audit and Sharia compliance. Typical gaps we have observed limited standard methodology, risk-based planning, sampling, issue tracking, uneven documentation, limited independence and governance, awareness in practice. What is the future? Future option, National Sharia Audit Competency Standard, Triad Certificate Foundation, Practitioner Lead, Case-Based Assessment, and Break-Level Capstone Project. So second issue is risk management Islamic bank specific. Existing situation, weak integration of Sharia non-compliance risks, limited stress testing, culture, gaps in risk appetite, governance reporting, and control effectiveness evidence. Future option, role-based executive program for senior management and CRO teams, modules and Islamic liquidity treasury, operational resilience and governance under risk-based solution. In the morning session, one paper I saw the presentation of Islamic money market and central bank issues, and Governor already give highlights about the what Bangladesh Bank is going to Islamic interbank money market and etc. So third, digital finance and digital Sharia governance. Limited capacity in cyber data governance, product structuring for digital channel with oversight of fintech partnership and outsourcing risk. What is the future outcome? How to certification on digital Islamic finance and governance, joint labs with banks, fintech, practical toolkits for big tech, audit trails, and control by design. Focus area 3, executive education and professional certification. Practical model BIBM can champion. National Islamic Banking Competency Framework level, a separate pathway for board and senior leadership, Sharia Supervisory Committee and Sharia Governance Professional, risk, compliance, internal audit, and digital product and IT risk leaders. Triad certification aligned to job role, Sharia Governance and Sharia audit, Islamic banking, risk management, digital Islamic finance and governance. Annual continuing professional development, requirement for key roles, Sharia Supervisory Committee members, Sharia auditor, heads of control function, linked to reappointment, fit and proper expectation, and patronage evidence. Partnership, Bangladesh Bank, industries bodies, universities, and global standard setup, that is IIB for curriculum, alignment, and benchmark. So, suggested closing statement, Bangladesh is accelerating Islamic banking governance and moving toward more risk-focused supervision, but the real success factor is people. Leadership equal quality, Sharia governance, competence, and modern risks and digital capability. The future option is to institutionalize a national competency pipeline with credible certification and continuous professional development so that compliance is consistent, auditable, and innovation ready. PIBM stands ready to convene regulator and industry to deliver this pipeline. Thank you very much.
Professor, also the Honorable Governor of Bangladesh, distinguished guest. I've seen so many participants here. That is a beautiful context that Professor put forward to the council. The Bangladesh market, there are structural issues that the financial instrument behaves very peculiarly in this country. So, rather than let me address the things that the concern that raised by the moderator. The bond market in Bangladesh are basically absent. There are few stray instruments that list in the market. Corporate bonds. There are, we see the so what's the foundation of the foundation is the government bond. Government bond has to be sufficiently liquid to come up with a yield for the every spectrum of the maturity of its maturity. And that's the income, right? So when there are, the market structure is not ready right now to have that, tradability or liquidity to make this yield curve the way it should be. First of all, yield curve is extremely important that actually anchor the valuation of every financial institution, every financial product. So that's what we are working with the Bangladesh Bank towards the making the more tradable the government bond and for the every maturity structure. So this will help mitigate the issue in Bangladesh. Now, when you come to the Islamic product in Bangladesh, the Securities Exchange Commission always been very keen to get into this area. We already have the regulation around the Sukuk bond. Few of the bonds also already came in this market. We have provision to issue that kind of Islamic Sharia-based securities, ISBS, like Mudaraba, Musharaka. We already have the provision and the regulation around it. We also have the private equity rules, alternative investment rules. All of these rules sufficiently provide for the Sharia-based instrument to come into the market and the venture to be addressed in this rule. Sharia-based REITs are there, and provision for the REITs, for the Sharia-based, particularly equity risks. These are and some of the not in equity and with the within the framework of the Sharia rules. We also formulated and gazetted the public issue rules. Public issue rules also has the provision to pronounce the particular equity or particular stock to be Sharia-based or Sharia-compliant. We also formed the Sharia Advisory Board, Advisory Council for the Securities and Exchange Commission. Many of the members are here, probably there. I have seen some of the members of our council in the Sharia Board. Sharia Advisory Council. In future, we'll introduce Uniform Sharia Index methodology for both exchanges, Dhaka Stock Exchange and Securities and Chittagong Stock Exchanges. These are the initiatives that we have already created in our most of the regulations, to accommodate, not only accommodate, to in fact encourage Islamic financial system in Bangladesh. So I mean, first of all, we definitely think the Security Exchange Commission is of the view that this high quality asset class has to make available to the investors, to the retail investor as well. So that's the one of the major source of the avenue for the capital formation in the form of within the framework of the Islamic financial system. And there are certain challenges that we also face. It's the coexistence of dual financial system, the prominent and the dominant, actually the conventional financial system. When you come into introduction of the financial product, as you understand, the financial products, it's already been complex some of the times, but the retail to address or to propagate within the before the retail investors. So what we actually look for, we look for straightforward, simple products, not making it more complex. People are really think simple, so that they can see that product transparently, cash flow, its security flow, its governance. These are things that Security Exchange Commission would actually look for any instrument that you design to make this market, to make this available to the retail investor. We have seen in the earlier session many of the proposals that came into our sites. So these has to be looked at governed in that way. Another thing that we really emphasize in our discussion and our discourse, that at the very outset of the development of Islamic product in Bangladesh, you will understand that it was suppressed for the last 1.5 decades. So it's a time for us to really give its avenue to grow. So at the very outset of these initiatives, of the national enthusiasm to put it forward, we got to understand that you all the systems, all the rules, all the components has to be in a simple form. The first, we must think about the hygiene, simplicity, and the sanctity of the product. There may be, there are questions around whether it is fixed, whether it is sometimes the product is essentially became the fixed interest rate rather than keeping it in the pure form of Islamic nature or the pure form of following the Islamic philosophy. So you see, the financial system is necessarily a trust structure. So when there is, people have the doubt about the trust structure, people will go and get away from it. So that's where the sanctity and the hygiene comes in. So Securities and Exchange Commission always look for the pure form of structure of the product, making the rules simple, creating the governance, ring fencing. These are the things that we look forward to in framing the rules, and we hope the kind of enthusiasm that we're looking forward to giving towards the regulators, the academicians, the practitioners, they all came together, and we really hope and pray for Islamic financial system to go forward. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
I have a collective gain. This is very important thing because of our severe setback in our banking sector, especially in the Islamic banking that we have faced earlier. This is really the good governance, and including the good governance, there is a board, there is a independent board, there is a Sharia board, there is internal audit. There are so many things to oversee those activities. And again, we are not alone. We are not apart from this administration, that is, we are also regulator. I must say there are some lapses in our part also. If the Sharia board and the board and the audit committee and the they oversee their real roles, I think there should not be, we may not face this sort of problem. So there are many things to do. Honorable Governor is here. He is steering the banking sector as well as the financial sector and the economy. He knows better than us. And he is steering. I think he will guide us, and with his guidance, we will make up, we will try to reduce the gap in the practice and what should we do? What should we do? We have taken a serious job, we are going to establish one bank, United Islamic Bank, that is Community Islamic Bank, by merging 5 separate banks. Those who are in distressed condition, take over this and steering this position also. Now, you have said rightly that there should be some Islamic scholar in the Sharia board. Very unfortunate and sorry to say, the person who are in the Sharia board, maybe they are relatives, maybe they are mullahs, or like this, but there is really no Islamic scholar in this board. So in future, we must take care as prudent and Islamic scholar are there. If they are strong, if they deny, if they reject, Islamic banking will stand in their own. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zakir Hussain, for your practical and very deep insights. So let me move to the capital market now. Mr. Saifuddin is the Commissioner of Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission. So let me go back 30 years ago. In the early 1990s, there was a financial sector project in Bangladesh. So I was involved into this project, and we had to write a position paper on the capital market in Bangladesh at that time. So we have a fundamental problem in Bangladesh capital market. We have an inverted yield curve. By that we mean that in one of the basic principles of finance, higher the risk, higher the return. But in capital market instrument in Bangladesh, any type, private, public, you find the after-tax rate of return on capital market instrument is lower than the after-tax rate of return on the banking product, the other types, the debt products. Now, I know the Security Exchange Commission in the BICM, and you also probably another organization. You're trying to educate people, you're trying to do research. Correct this inversion problem in Bangladesh. I want to get your insight as a commissioner of security.
We have taken some initiatives that will be mentioned here. First of all, I want to thank our Honorable Governor for establishing a new department and choose me to lead that one. Thanks for that. We have already, established Sharia Supervisory Board with 5 members. Here, Honorable Abu Bakr Rafiq sir, the Honorable Sharia Chairman is here. Thank you for sacrificing. It's a sacrifice, the board members, because
if they would be the member of the commercial bank, they would get more benefit, financial benefit, but they are sacrificing that they have given consent to be here. And we have already announced the Sharia governance, how banks will run. We have already circulated Sharia governance circular for the commercial banks. We have we are reviewing review process in the Islamic Banking Act, and we are at the end of it. We will take support from our international supporters for this. We have already reviewed some of the guidelines for Islamic banks. We are doing it part by part, not as a whole. We have at the moment we are working on Islamic credit card. So committee has been formed. So very soon we hope to have a guideline for Islamic credit card. And we have already drafted product program guidelines that will also come very soon. And we have already drafted standard operating procedures for conducting Islamic banks and conventional banks, those who have windows and branches. We have also drafted fit and proper criteria for board members, senior management of Islamic banks. So these are the initiatives we have already taken, and we have listed some points which we have to do. That are we are going to formulate human resources policy for full-fledged and Islamic banks. That is discussed here because session chair mentioned below 1% is working with Islamic certification or knowledge in Islamic banking. Out of 52,000, if we consider 1%, it's very negligible. So we have taken this initiative. We have initiative to risk management guideline and bank insurance. We have also, supervision guideline, and here one thing, we have already started risk-based supervision, but one thing I should mention, for the Islamic banks, there should have some rule-based supervision policy also, because of the Sharia lack of Sharia governance, that is not quantifiable, that could hamper the balance sheet of the Islamic banks. That's why it's another thing we are thinking how to accommodate this risk-based supervision. Some points that is on rule-based. And we have taken initiative to have some digital banks, and we found some banks applied for Islamic digital banks, but we don't have any Islamic digital bank policy. We have listed how to the policy for Islamic bank also, digital Islamic bank also, and we have already taken initiative for policy guideline in fintech, crowdfund, and B2B transaction, and guideline for capital adequacy and risk-weighted exposure for Islamic bank. We have initiative for adopting the AUFI and IFSB standard. Though in our guideline we have just mentioned, what we are thinking here, the customized one, we are thinking for a customized one, because the AUFI standard set considering the international standard, but in our culture, in our country, the culture is different. So we want to have the AUFI and IFSB standard, customized one considering our people, attitude, culture and other issues. So that one is our in our consideration. Sharia financing through HPSM, that is hire purchase under Shirkatul Mulk, and also some social finance. Some social finance we will provide some guidelines for zakat, sadaqah, and also for qard, that is qard hasana. And we have taken initiative to form a panel for the Sharia Supervisory Board of the commercial banks. We will be listing, considering their past performance, and from that list, bank will choose the Sharia supervisors. You know, we have same initiative for the chartered accountant firm qualified for list, then bank are choosing from that list. And we have initiative to develop a comprehensive training module. It's a training one, training and awareness, training, development and awareness. It's from not only for bankers, for customers, for board members, for auditors, for senior management, and you mentioned for the judges also did it here. So we have already communicated several international organization like IFSB, ISDB, and most of the Central Bank of Islamic countries. They have positively responded us. They will help us in this regard, especially Pakistan, Malaysia. They have a positive gesture in this regard. And we have some of the other initiatives, and we are thinking not only banking issues like that as is a banking one, because we do have a chain effect, because if it is Islamic, it should be from starting to ending Islamic. That's why we have already communicated the deposit insurance that is taken from Islamic banks and handled by Bangladesh Bank. We have already communicated that should be invested in Islamic mode. And also in the industry, you know, we have takaful, that should be more research, because our insurance sector also in vulnerable position. So takaful, we have to think about takaful, because not only local insurance, in international insurance, that is LC and international trade, we need to have insurance. So we should have think about this type of takaful and other issues.
As you all know, that it's a disappointment for all of us that we could not develop the bond market, and that's created the inherent risk for the money market, for our banking system as well. Why? Because banks are not supposed to lend in a big way for the industrial development of the country. But in Bangladesh, industrial development is virtually dependent on banks. These are long-term financing, and the banks normally receive deposits for short-term, very short-term, means few months, to maybe for 3 to 5 years, maximum 5 years, not more than that. But they have to finance 15-year project, maybe sometimes 20-year project, 30-year project. And that's a serious risk for the banks. And if you can see, if you look at the loan portfolios and things, where do most of the loans go wrong? It is the project loan that has gone wrong. Trade financing is not that bad, but project loans are for most cases the problem. Projects have inherent risks and so on, and they need to be differently handled. And that's why we need the stock market and the bond market. And those two segments which are more important than the banking system, if you look across the globe. What is the size of the bond market globally? It's $130 trillion. 130 trillion dollar. What is the size of the bond market? $90 trillion, $90 trillion. What is the size of the banking system? $60 trillion. But what we're trying is making what should be the third order of importance. We have made it the first order. That's in Bangladesh is just the opposite picture. The whole load is on the banking system, and that creates an unacceptable level of risk that cannot be mitigated by the banking system within the structure the banking system has been set. So we need to establish bottom on its own right, and if we want to develop our industrial base, our long-term financing, housing market, all of those things. If you look at the housing sector, globally, 35% loan goes to housing sector. But how much of it is, financing, global financing goes to housing sector. How much of it goes to housing sector in Bangladesh? 4 to 6%. So, we have a serious imbalance in the system. And by regulatory arm twisting or whatever political forcing, we are diverting fund to the industrialization, which is good objective, but not the best way to achieve the objective. So we have to develop the market. We have completed the study on bond market. We work together. We have a team, Bangladesh Bank, Security Exchange Commission, and Ministry of Finance. Together, and the Finance Division also was there, FID and Finance Division. We worked on this paper, on this study, which will be launched at the end of this, before the end of this month. And the underlying objective is to promote the development of our market. There are a number of sweeping recommendations have been made to cut short the time period for it. If you are born in Bangladesh, I'm sure here is a representative from security. It takes a long time. You cannot plan like that. You cannot plan a year ahead of time for mobilizing funding. That kind of time is punishing for the industry. We have to shorten it. Very short, quick. Go to the Security Exchange Commission, meet the requirements, get the bond issues very quickly. So how to do it? We have to find a way out administratively and in terms of maintaining all the necessary safeguards as well. So we have to find it. Reducing the cost of issuing bonds, we have to address it. There are tax issues, there are other things that needs to be addressed. So we are addressing that also. We are trying to strictly enforce the single borrower limit for the banks. Basically I've been already telling our big borrowers, like the big conglomerates, Citigroup or MGI or others, that look, you are doing business, huge business, 50,000 crore taka turnover a year. But you are solely dependent on banks. That banks cannot afford to fund one family, one individual, one corporation, while their capital base is small. So we will push you out of the banking system. So basically, our message to them, you have to go to the bond market or to the stock market, get your funding. The banks will not support your growth in the future because it's too much of a risk for the banks, and we are giving you enough time. So these are the elements that we are trying to enforce through in the coming year or so that we can start developing the bond market. Along with that, we are also asking the Ministry of Finance to separate out debt management treaty and the issuance of bonds and bills and sukuk to be on a regular interval. Create the supply. We have to create supply of instruments and at the same time create enough demand for that. So we have to work on both sides, supply side and demand side. So that's the process. All the players in the game, the private sector stakeholders, the banks, Security Exchange Commission, our market for trading the bonds, the platform, Bangladesh Bank, National Board of Revenue, all of them have to work together to make this happen. It cannot be done by one institution or person. Second thing that I want to say is that we have established the risk-based supervision unit now. It is functional as of January 1st this year. We have about 750 Bangladesh Bank staff who has been trained. All the 60 banks, 61 banks, have been trained and also trained to move to the RBS system, because it's a very, very different system of supervision. And we are going to also establish a forensic audit, forensic inspection department within that RBS, so that you can also identify culprits who have misused the banking system and hold them accountable in the law. So right now the conventional auditors will not do that. They will simply they will simply say, I'll make some few observations. They will say, this is not all. Bangladesh doesn't have any forensic auditor. We have just now have one KPMG firm. We have 3 or 4 persons who have been trained to do some forensic audit. We have to create that. We have to create it and use them effectively to prevent the kind of abuse of the system that has happened and that will continue to happen. And I'm sure that things that have happened has not stopped altogether. It may have diminished, but it's still happening. So we have to keep our eyes and prevent that from happening, and whenever it happens, make them accountable. So forensic unit will also be part of the risk-based supervision banking. And in the RBS system, the beauty of that is here the team of supervisors, supervision, say 10 people, will be working on one bank. And they will continuously working on monitoring that one bank, everything of that bank. So they should be as much familiar or even more about what's going wrong, what is happening positive, what should not be happening, create a early warning for us at the head of the Bangladesh Bank level, and also at the bank level, that this is happening, you better watch after. We are keeping it. So this is more preventive in nature. It's 360-degree supervision. Previously, off-site supervision was done by one department, on-site supervision was done by the department, foreign exchange control was done by. There are lots of different parts. The brick and mortar based structure of banking system of reaching out to the correct times to the world. The footfall, people coming to banks for taking money and dropping deposits and so on, will stop. So, what will be the shape of the banks? What will be the shape of our branches? Think about it. Start preparing now before it's too costly to adjust. So we have to prepare for those things: digital banking launching, fintech innovations, forward-looking, also bringing up, catching up with what has already happened in the rest of the world. We have to prepare. So a lot to go on our agenda, and we need to achieve all of those things. Hopefully, the journey has started to take at least 10 to 15 years, but of course, innovation has no end, and it must continue. Thank you.
Inshallah, it's going to happen. Thank you very much for your clarifying comments on different aspects that has been raised by different panelists and also by us. And we have a very distinguished senior scholar and academic sitting on the audience. And this is Professor Abu Bakr Rafiq Ahmed, and he is also the chairman of the Sharia Supervisory Board of the Central Bank of Bangladesh. And I would request Professor Rafiq to come forward and share some viewpoints with the audience, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi tayyibin wa tahirin wa ala man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd, fa subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Respected chairman and the chief guest of this August gathering, Governor Bangladesh Bank, the dignitaries and the scholars, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for attending in this August gathering. It is a matter of great satisfaction for the nation in general, and especially for those who are committed with Islamic banking industries, that the central bank has shown its special interest in Sharia compliance of each and every financial institute of the country. And for this end in view, the Central Bank of Bangladesh has established a Sharia Advisory Board of its own. Though late, but it bears a great message for the nation. And I would like to take the opportunity to request the Honorable Governor as the regulatory body of banking sector, that the name of Sharia Advisory Board should be Sharia Supervisory Board, because the central bank is the regulatory body and supervising body, and the advisory board should be, it is not benefited befitting for this board. The Bangladesh Bank is committed to ensure 100% Sharia compliance in each and every Islamic financial institute. This is the message on establishing the Sharia board under the Bangladesh Bank. With as much as 10 independent Islamic institutes, full-fledged independent Islamic institutes, and many conventional banks with Islamic banking, not less than 40 in number, in different conventional banks. Bangladesh is considered a country with great prospect for total Islamic banking system in this country. And I think it is the high time for Bangladesh Bank for establishment of a full-fledged Sharia Secretariat with a rich library under the Central Bank of Bangladesh. And I hope and request the Honorable Governor that he shall take a special steps in this regard. And there is a possibility for Bangladesh to be considered as the hub of Islamic finance and banking research in the near future. And this, Bangladesh Bank should take the necessary step, and I hope that Bangladesh Bank shall take this, inshallah, this challenge, and not only Bahrain, as we know that it is the hub of Islamic banking, but Bangladesh Bank with as much as 40 Islamic banks, full-fledged and with windows, and there are many scholars in Islamic finance. Bangladesh Bank, if take the initiative, it can be the hub of Islamic banking. I also congratulate and thanks to the governor that he has proposed to introduce Islamic finance courses in different universities, private and public. I think with this decision, Bangladesh can be changed to the country of full-fledged Islamic finance. Inshallah. And the last but not the least, we seek the best of tawfiq for performing our duties and our responsibilities in line with full Sharia compliance. And if Allah wishes, we are looking forward for seeing this country as the country of Islamic banking. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Abumon, for a comment. We are coming to an end to this session, but before we end, I want to request the Al-Qaeda of this conference, Al-Qaeda not from Afghanistan, the foundation of this conference. Professor Sadiqul Islam is a senior professor in the Department of Finance at the University of New Orleans. Professor Sadiqul Islam.
We raised this issue to the government ministries in seminars, symposiums, but solutions didn't come out. We have to mark the government service certificate to the market. Well, I will be of opinion that it should be marked the, say, 5-year treasury bond or so. Now, if the interest rate of the government service certificate is high, everybody is going to buy the corporate bond. So that is what is happening in Bangladesh. Nobody is buying corporate bond. They are not buying. If you ask me, I will not buy. I don't take interest, but if you ask me, I will not buy as well. Because corporate savings certificate is risk-free of risk. Why should I buy risky securities with low return? It's a simple economics. But, well, we could not surmount this problem. This has been a long-standing problem in Bangladesh. No solutions came up. And this second issue was discussed by our governor and other panelists as well. Bank-based financing, there should be a limit to the amount of loan. Loans are cheaper because and subject to less formalities. There are a lot of, if a company issues bond, there are a lot of requirements, there are a lot of compliance requirements, reporting requirements. Why should the corporate people undergo that process if bank financing is available? We have to put a limit on the amount of loan to the companies, and it should be based on the amount of equity capital they have. It should be related to that. Say, for example, if the equity is 1 taka, they can take up to 3 taka loan or something like this. So that should be divided. And if that is not done, the supply of bond will not be up to the expectation. Now, I'll talk about few issues in the banking sector. There has been a new law that the banking sector is undergoing massive reforms, and so it goes to the Sharia banks as well. There is a Islamic Bank Companies Act that is proposed recently, that is drafted, And I observed a number of changes. A lot of changes are there in the governance of the bank. Some of the issues like 50% directors should be independent directors. Also, the chairman of the bank can be an independent director, not the sponsored director. Not more than 2% from the same family can be the director of the same bank, like this. And also there is guideline with respect to Sharia supervisory board. And also Bangladesh Bank also took steps to form IBPRD to make supervision of the Sharia-based banks. So, what's the reality? Reality is Sharia violation was very common in Sharia-based banks in the last 20 decades. Why is this? Why did it happen? This is because Sharia-based banks were run by people who did not believe in Sharia. We have to make sure that, the board of directors should believe in Sharia and they should make the commitment they will not make any violation of Sharia. Sharia violation was never seen as an offense in Bangladesh. I didn't say any example. A person was penalized or punished for Sharia violation. An employee should be punished for Sharia violation. A director should be punished for Sharia violation. That's the way but then it happens. So there needs to be a specific mention in Islamic Bank Companies Act. The Sharia violation should be treated as an offense. Now, Islamic banks, Sharia-based banks, and their subsidiaries are investing in non-Sharia compliant securities, and there is no, penalty for that. Well, there should be specific mention regarding their investment, why they are putting their money. If they are putting their money in some security or in an investment instrument that is not Sharia compliant, the respective person should be penalized for that. That should be considered as an offense. Now, apart from that, well, the other issues like risk management in Sharia-based banks, this issue was well taken up by the central bank, and the Bangladesh Bank has already introduced the risk-based supervision system. There is a need for developing human resources for the Sharia-based banks, and that is well mentioned by the panelists. And there is need for introducing curriculum or academic programs for Islamic finance and Islamic banks. So these are the need of the time. If we cannot do it now, maybe it will be far away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Sadiqul Islam. সেই রবীন্দ্রনাথের ছোট গল্পের মতো শেষ হয়ে গেল না শেষ। At the end, আমাদের অডিয়েন্সের মধ্যে এখন আছেন ডেপুটি গভর্নর অনারেবল নুরুন নাহার। আমি ওনাকে একটু কাইন্ডলি কয়েক মিনিট বলার জন্য অনুরোধ করছি। তারপরেও আরেকটু আছে একটা
আজকের এই ইসলামিক ফাইন্যান্সের উপরে যে সেমিনার, এটার সম্মানিত উপস্থিতি, আমি আরেকটা প্রোগ্রামে গিয়েছিলাম, ফাইন্যান্স অ্যাডভাইজার স্যারের একটা প্রোগ্রাম। গভর্নর স্যারের স্পিচটাও শুনি নাই, আপনাদের অনেকের স্পিচ শুনি নাই। লাস্ট মোমেন্টে আসলে কিছু বলাটা একটু ডিফিকাল্ট হয়ে যায়। যাই হোক, আমি বলছি যে ইসলামিক ব্যাংকিং এটা একটা আমাদের দেশের জন্য পায়োনিয়ার একটা আমাদের দেশ ইসলামিক ব্যাংকিং এর ক্ষেত্রে, এবং মোর দেন 25% আমাদের ইসলামিক ব্যাংকিং আছে। অনেক সনাতন ব্যাংকগুলো ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং উইন্ডো খুলেছে, এই ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এর ধারায় যদি আসলে চলা যায়, ইসলামিক শরিয়ার বেসড ব্যাংকিং যদি চলা যায়, তাহলে এটা অনেক ভালো করার একটা সম্ভাবনা আছে আমাদের দেশে, আরো ভালো করার। একটা সময়ে এটা একটু অন্যরকম হয়ে গিয়েছিল, অনেকগুলো ইসলামী ব্যাংক মার্জার করা হয়েছে। আপনারা জানেন যে 5টা ইসলামী ব্যাংকের মার্জার করা হয়েছে, ওইটার প্রক্রিয়া চলছে, সম্মিলিত ইসলামী ব্যাংক হয়েছে। আর ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং রেগুলেশন একটা ডিপার্টমেন্টও করা হয়েছে, ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং রেগুলেশন এন্ড পলিসি ডিপার্টমেন্ট করা হয়েছে আলাদা করে। এটা আরো ভালো হবে। ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং অ্যাক্টও করা হবে, গাইডলাইন্সও কিছু ড্রাফট লেভেলে আছে, আমি যেটা জেনেছি জানি। এই অনুযায়ী যদি বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের যে নিয়ম কানুন এগুলো যদি সঠিকভাবে পরিপালন করা হয়, তাহলে ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এ আরো অগ্রসর হবে বলে আমার বিশ্বাস। তো আজকের এই সেমিনার সবার জন্য ভালো বার্তা বয়ে আনুক, সবাই উপকৃত হবে এই এতে। আর আমরা আরো বেশি এগিয়ে যাব শরিয়া বেসড ব্যাংকিং এর দিকে, এই আশাবাদ ব্যক্ত করছি। আমাকে কিছু বলার সুযোগ দেওয়ার জন্য ধন্যবাদ।
Honorable Nur Nahat, Deputy Governor of Bangladesh Bank. Now 2 minutes, Mohammad Zakir Hossain. Zakir bhai, 2 minutes. আপনি ওখানে বসে বলেন।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম রহমতুল্লাহ। আমি সূচনা বক্তব্যে যাচ্ছি না, সরাসরি একটু বলে আমার কথাগুলি বাংলায় বলছি, কারণ আমি চাই না আমার এই কথাগুলি আমাদের বিদেশে অতিথিরা শুনো। আমরা আসলে যখন ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং শুরু করছি বাংলাদেশে 1983-তে, তখন অনেক বিষয় রুল ছিল না, রেগুলেশন ছিল না, স্কলার ছিল না। এখন আমাদের অনেক রুল আছে, রেগুলেশন আছে, স্কলার আছে, বাট আমরা কমপ্লায়েন্স করি না। আমাদের স্যার, আমরা গত কয়েকদিন কিছু তথ্য নিয়েছি, আমরা কম্পেনসেশন ফান্ডের অর্থের ইউটিলাইজেশন, এতে দেখছি কম্পেনসেশনের ফান্ডের টাকা দিয়ে শরিয়া বোর্ডের পারমিশন নিয়ে এমপ্লয়ীদের বেতন দিচ্ছে। এর চেয়ে জঘন্য আর কি হতে পারে? আমরা এখন আমাদের মেসেজটা খুব পরিষ্কার, ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং করতে হলে শরিয়া মেনেই করতে হবে। কারণ কনভেনশনালের দ্বার ওপেন আছে, আপনারা যারা ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং করতে ইচ্ছা না, তারা কনভেনশনাল করেন, সেখানে আপনি সুবিধা পাবেন। এই জন্য আমাদের দরকার ইসলামী জানা লোকজন। ইউনিভার্সিটি লেভেল থেকে যদি এই ডিগ্রিগুলি দেওয়া হয়, তাহলে ইনবিল্ট একটা মেসেজ থাকে যে ইসলাম ব্যাংকিংটা কি। আমরা সব দেখি ইদানিংকালে কিছু টপ লেভেলের নিয়োগ হচ্ছে, এমডি ডিএমডি সহ, তাদের ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং এর কোনো আইডিয়াই নাই। আমরা এখন অন্তত কিছু জিনিসকে ইনলাইনে নিয়ে আসছি, যেমন শরিয়া অ্যাডভাইজারি সুপারভাইজারি কমিটি, প্রত্যেকটা আমাদের পারমিশন দিচ্ছি। আমরা এখন প্রত্যেক ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালি আমরা চেক করে তারপর পারমিশন দিচ্ছি। আমাদের হলো আমরা সবাই একত্রে কাজ করব। আসেন আমরা যতটুকু জানি সেটাকে কমপ্লায়েন্স করি, যেটা পারি না, যেটা রুলস নাই সেটা ভিন্ন, যেটুকু রুলস আছে সেটাকে আমরা কমপ্লায়েন্স করি। আমরা সবাই একত্রে কাজ করি, ইনশাআল্লাহ সেক্টরটা অনেক ডেভেলপ হবে। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Thank you, Mohammad Zakir Hossain, for your very incisive, very pointed comments. So finally, Muhammad Farooq Raza, our international guest, and he wants to just say 2 minutes or something that is going to be helpful to us.
Thank you, Mr. Kabir. It has been really a pleasure for me since yesterday. Very enriching discussions, especially I think the dialogue this morning and the enlightening discussion from the Honorable Governor, the Commissioner from the Securities and Exchange Commission, and all the other colleagues. It has been very, very helpful to understand actually the challenges that the country is facing. So, in my view, there are 3 major themes coming out of the discussion. I think first and the foremost is actually governance. And this is one big issue that needs to be addressed to the core. Not only Sharia governance, but also corporate governance, and in Islamic finance, they will go hand in hand, right? So this is one big thing that needs to be addressed. The second one is actually developing the ecosystem. And here, there are so many different, I think, issues that, and they all seem to be super urgent. So it's very difficult to prioritize which one goes first and so on and so forth. So again, this is something that, of course, the stakeholders, they have to very carefully decide. And based on my very extensive experience that I shared with you yesterday, I suggest very strongly that there shall be a proper planning here, having a roadmap, having a strategic master plan, like some other countries have done, including Indonesia, I quoted yesterday as well, who have managed actually with the rollout of that plan. In 8 years, they have actually managed to increase their Islamic finance market share from 4.9% to 11.4%. And this is a G20 economy with a much, much larger industry, if you want. So this is something that is required, and that roadmap will help you actually identify the low-hanging fruits, and order also prioritizing the ecosystem, what comes first and what fits where better. So this is something that you need to consider, and of course, as I mentioned yesterday, there will be a lot of support available to you as well as many countries like Malaysia, Pakistan, and I'm sure that if you talk to Turkey as well, a lot of countries will stretch their hands, and also then you might find funding as well, support as well, from the multilaterals like Islamic Development Bank and Asian Development Bank as well. Now, the third thing that is coming out actually is human capital. And this is again extremely important and very, very critical for the success or failure of Islamic finance in any jurisdiction. So to this end, I just want to make a humble announcement here that, being the CEO of IFAS, Islamic Finance Advisory and Assurance Services, a consultancy entirely dedicated to Islamic finance with 20 years experience worldwide with the 66 jurisdictions under our belt. We have a lot of cumulative knowledge. And for the last couple of years, what we have done, we have actually rolled out an internship, a remote internship program for the industry, for the benefit of the industry. This is our humble contribution in order to develop the human capital in the industry. So what we do is we take fresh graduates, and the applications are open to the whole world. But having heard these discussions today, I have actually come up with an idea of launching a specific, exceptional and exclusive internship cohort for Bangladeshi graduates. This is going to be a remote internship. Our standard program is actually 4 months, where we teach and coach these fresh graduates in Islamic finance in different disciplines that will include corporate governance, Sharia governance, it will include accounting, risk management, and a number of other things as well, and so on and so forth, in banking, in microfinance, in the Takaful, and also in capital markets as well. So we will design a program. The program is actually very, very competitive. In average, for each seat of internship, we are receiving 40 applications. So usually our cohorts are 20 seats, and the applications are around 800. So that's how highly competitive it is. So we would like also to have the best of the best, the creme de la creme from Bangladesh, inshallah, and we will do our level best to provide you with at least a bunch of young, fresh graduates, brilliant people, girls and boys, who shall be able, inshallah, to take the helm forward and contribute to the industry and for the economic development of the country and the well-being, inshallah. So this is a humble contribution from our side, as I promised yesterday. This is our support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance and banking. Distinguished guests, faculty members, industry representatives, practitioners, researchers, and dear students. Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to you all. It is a great pleasure for me to make some remarks at this international conference. Today we gather here to address one of the most significant issues of modern economic and financial system, that is Islamic finance. It is not just a financial issue, but to me, it's a journey that affects millions of lives of Muslim communities. Ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, I'm
I'm very excited to see the themes and scopes of today's conference. I'm from different discipline. Basically, my background is science, more specifically biological science. But I understand the importance of Islamic finance and banking as a Muslim. I understand how crucial it is in a country like Bangladesh, where more than 80% of the population is Muslim. I understand the importance of Islamic finance and banking. It is important for deepening financial inclusion, especially in rural areas. It is important because it is Sharia compliant and it offers interest-free alternatives that appeals to a large Muslim population. It is important because it drives economic growth through SMEs and agricultural financing. It is important because it helps reduce poverty, that ethical models like Mutaraba and fostering social equity. But as we all know, Islamic finance faces challenges in infrastructure and awareness. I'm confident that today's conference will help to find the pragmatic solutions of these challenges. As a Muslim and as a brother, I'm always with you in finding ways to overcome these challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to see that today's conference has brought together academics, researchers, experienced practitioners, and policymakers from home and abroad. This has created a magnificent opportunity to share and examine current problems, trends, and challenges in Islamic finance. I'm sure that during this conference, rigorous academic debate, vibrant discussions, and challenges, the challenging presentations has earned concrete insights and important policy solutions. Finally, I congratulate all the participants and presenters and extend my heartfelt thanks to the hosting institutions for organizing this event. Thank you everyone.
Thank you very much, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Dhaka. Vice Chancellor, University of Dhaka. We'd like to conclude our session with our session moderator, Professor Kabir Ahmed. Kabir Hassan, sir. So please conclude the session.
Let me start thanking Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for giving this opportunity to have an Islamic Finance Conference at the University of Dhaka. I'm a son of the soil. I left this country 43 years ago. I've been coming over the last 43 years, I have come to Bangladesh 100 times. So I never really break my umbilical cord with this country. But I have never been able to organize such a conference on anything Islamic in this Dhaka University. So I thank Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for this opportunity. And secondly, it would not have been possible without the help of the administration, UPC on Ward Town, and I also thank all of them for making this happen. So since this is Islamic finance, so let me start with a quote by current Pope of Catholic faith, over 1 billion people. He has been speaking very, very directly about the harm of riba, what riba is doing. The interest is creating inequality. It is also damaging family. He's talking about very vividly the things that we have covered in the last 2 days here. But I want to mention about 4 things for the future growth and how Islamic finance can be value relevant. By the way, many people misunderstand. I mean, they try to connect with the political movement, they try to connect with some sort of religion. But the main purpose of Islamic finance is to help the humanity. You don't have to belong to a certain faith. certain traditions, certain political parties, in order to take the benefit of the. So there are four things we have to remember in order to make it happen, make it more meaningful. First one is trust. Repairing the moral foundation of Islamic finance is important. Why I'm saying this? Because in the last 15 years, the Islamic finance industry has been plundered to the political connection, to the bad people, the combination, and our collective failure. Islamic finance is not only a system of contracts, it is moral covenant. Recent governance challenges in our banking sector have shown that many failures are not technical. They are failure of ethics, transparency, and accountability. If depositors cannot trust that their money is safe, if investors cannot trust our disclosures, if citizens feel Islamic finance is Islamic only in name, then the system loses its soul. To build trust, we must strengthen independent, competent boards, including Sharia boards, elevate internal Sharia audit, risk-based monitoring, and evidence-based reporting, ensure stricter enforcement of compliance, because standards without consequences do not create credibility, embed a culture of amana, where every stakeholder treats financial intermediaries as a public trust, not a private privilege. There were two panel sessions, yesterday one, today one, attended by the very high dignitaries in this country, including the governor, deputy governor, and Secretary of Exchange Commission. They all emphasize this point very vividly. The second point is depth. Building a full Islamic financial ecosystem is not only banking, it is also capital market, insurance, mutual fund, everything comes together. For 4 decades, Bangladesh has made commendable progress in Islamic banking only.